Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Friday Nights on the Bayou. Of course, as always, I'm your host, Grant Sachere, the owner of Ruger Sports Media. I'm also a reporter for Crescent Sports. This is Jace Journ of Gridiron Football. He does a lot of good stuff at Gridiron Football, and he's on here most of the time. If not, if he can't make it here all the time. But Jace, this week, a whole new week. I know it may not be as jam packed like last week, but still a great opportunity for a great weekend of high school football here in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, absolutely, Grant. And like there are a lot of really big storylines we can talk about. And really, one to me last week, you talk about some of those big wins and some of those games, right? To me, last week was all about the individual performances. I mean, it really was. I mean, we were able to see the two running backs. We talk about from Riverside and St. Martin's. We're talking about Harlem Berry, the number one running back in the country. And see, for 2 years in a row, Dedrick Lassie outrushed him in 2 years in a row and win. It was very impressive, and like running for like 900 yards combined and like 14 touchdowns is like unreal. I don't think I've ever seen a running back run for over 300 yards and 5 touchdowns, and yet um, they have to do running clock. So I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And then Pop Houston as well. That's incredible. Like even me playing college football 25. I mean, I do, and I usually play like on rookie mode and 15-minute quarters. I still don't think I can hit those numbers Pop Houston did playing the video game. So that was unbelievable what he did. Jamarce Platter is a guy need to give a lot of credit to as well. We talk so much about Pop Houston, but he ran for over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns too. And that was a big reason. If anybody was wondering, okay, how did they lose that game? Well, he also balled out and had 350 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. So this was an incredible week of individual performances. I mean, one of the few I've seen, like that. I know we haven't discussed our Gridiron Football Player of the Weeks yet, but it's going to be a crazy week to do so with all the stuff that's going on. But a lot of great individual performances last week, and now we're really getting into district play. So now we're going to be talking about more of like the district championships, those district titles. I know a lot of people don't really put a lot of stock into it, as probably beforehand, because you have a lot of state championship games, so you have like 9 of them. But it's still very important, to be a district champion. It's still it holds some weight, holds some water. So like this is really important, and you're going to get a chance to see. That's a lot of teams' goals at the end of the year is win district championship. So we're going to see a lot of those district titles being played out the rest of the year. But it should be a fun second half of the year. It's hard to believe, Grant, we're going into week 7. I
Mhm.
feel like it's just like a blink of an eye. We're here, but we're going to see some really good football. When we get to district play and then we get to the playoffs. It's about that time. We get to the really nitty gritty right now.
Yeah, and what a hell of a performance by both
Yeah,
Harlem Berry and Deidre Glassy was actually able to go to that game, and also some incredible performances up there, up north in Shreveport with Evangel and Captain Shreve. Unfortunately, when the thing about those when you have individual performances from players on both teams, that are record breaking, there can only be one winner, and so
Mhm.
sometimes that you may get sometimes the result doesn't matter. It's the individual performance. You got to appreciate them when you see them, just
Yeah,
whether it's high school or the pros. What a great week we had last weekend.
mhm.
But now let's go into this weekend. First, starting off with the Friday slate. Um, is Neville Ruston? I mean, that's going to be the biggest game of the weekend. Two undefeated teams. Ruston barely. They barely picked up a victory. They kind of fell asleep at the wheel a little bit after the huge win over Stephenville High School in the state of Texas, the top 4A team in the state over there in the Lone Star State. And they got a little carried away, and they nearly got upset by a very good Washington team. But this week they have to play against a Neville team. Neville is undefeated. They got a really strong defense. They're both very similar in their styles. They both have strong defenses. They both have really good skill players
Yeah.
on both the offense and the defense. Neville, of course, is coming up a 50-10 victory over Pineville, and they've scored 30 points or more in each of the
Yeah.
games for their 17-10 victory over Sterlington in week 5. But Jace, I mean, who you got in this one? I mean, you would have safe to be it would be safe to assume Ruston. But
Yeah.
Neville has something to say.
Yeah. I mean, I would actually in any other week, be honest with you. Um, I would normally not like the spot for Ruston, even though this is like a battle of undefeateds, and really both teams do mirror each other a whole lot. I mean, like you said, really good on the defensive side of the football, fast, athletic, really good on the offensive side of the football as well. I mean, these are two of the more balanced teams out there in terms of offensively, defensively. They do a really good job of complementing each other. Now, the reason I like Ruston here, Grant, is because Ruston just had the game that was not their A game. They just had that, and they were able to find a way to win that. So I think here, Grant, is a reassurance game for Ruston, even though
Mm.
this is probably you could say probably the best game of the week. Game of the week in state when Ruston and Neville play. And I still think that right now, as good as Ash is, I still think Neville is the second best team in that district behind Ruston. But I'm gonna go with the Bearcats here. I think last week woke them up a little bit, and sometimes you need that. And I'm sure Coach Ball is, in some ways, happy it happened because even though they were able to get the win, because that way it's a humbling experience. He's like, okay, guys, like that's just a reminder we're human. You got to be prepared week in, week out. You can't take anybody lightly, especially in that district they're playing, and they realize that because and be honest with you, Grant, they probably were looking a little bit ahead to Neville next week as well. So that probably could have been a part of it. But I do think they bounced back here because of what happened last week, but still should be a really good football game. These are two of the better teams in the state. I'm really high on Neville. I think this is the best Neville team since those Mickey McQuarrie teams that were playing the Superdome against them in the car when they had the car and Neville was having that rivalry going on. But I'm going to go with Ruston here. But it's definitely one of the best games in the state. If you're in the area, definitely go check that out. And it's going to be an awesome game, awesome atmosphere over there at Ruston. I'm going to lean with the Bearcats and till they lose and prove me otherwise.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to pick the same one. I'm gonna have to go the same with Jace. I really like the Ruston Bearcats to win this one in a very close game. I think this game will definitely live up to expectations, given the talent on both teams. I mean, they both have very similar talents. Of course, Brody Wiley's committed to TCU.
Yeah.
You got Cam Riley, who's one of the better DBs in the state. I mean, Juju Burns
Yep.
is going to be one of the top DBs for the class of 2026.
Good. Yeah.
Just a lot of talent all over the field
Mhm.
in this one. So if you're in the Monroe area or in Northeast Louisiana, definitely check out this game. And I believe they will be broadcast somewhere. It might be broadcast. I'm not like I know Neville does their broadcast. I'm not sure if they do away games. I know Neville broadcasts these games, but I hope somebody broadcasts this game because I think everyone should tune in when the game is played. I'm gonna have to go with the Ruston Bearcats, and really this could be they could see each other in the playoffs, as well. So,
well, what game that would be? A playoff game that would be. But
yeah,
I mean, that could be we could see this game again for sure.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. But moving on, let's talk about Central and Catholic. Central is undefeated, of course.
Mhm.
They've been impressive all year long. They've every team they played, they've been. I believe every team they played, they've been by double digits. So they're rolling with
Yeah.
Jackson Furman, a quarterback, and they got some talented skill players. And then obviously, you got to talk about the Mays brothers, and both twin brothers, DK and KD Mays.
Mhm.
I'm not sure which one is committed. One of them is committed to Houston. I know that, but I'm not
I
sure what other one.
always get them mixed up too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they're twins. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what kind
right.
of happens there. But
In the
but
initial.
Catholic, yeah, Catholic has only lost one game. That one game was to U High.
Yeah.
Catholic, a lot of people pick Catholic to win the district title again, although they did have questions at quarterback.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
everywhere else, they're very talented. But this Central team has a chance to prove that hey, we're everyone's talking about Catholic, but we have something to say as well. of course, Semno, of course, recently, before he became the head coach at Central, he was a head coach at Catholic, and that was a very shocking move. Shocking move at the time. Matter of fact, that was front page news in the Baton Rouge area. But there's a lot of stake. Winner of this game will be in the front runner for a district title. Of course, it's still Zachary, so you still have to worry about them. They're still going along strong. But Jace, do you see Central finally dethroning the Catholic Bears?
Man, Grant, I was going back and forth with this one. I really was. Man, it's tough because Catholic in these type of games, they respond. Like in these big time games, when we've seen them play a lot of big time games, they're more used probably to that spotlight. Because they've been in the state championship games, they've been in big playoff games, and that's going to help them. Even though this is, I guess you could say, a younger team if you think about it, Grant.
Yeah.
For Catholic, with a new quarterback, and Central's definitely got the advantage there at the quarterback position. It just becomes a more of a shootout. Then, Central should have the advantage because they can play that type of game. And you got Jackson Furman, who's a Nichols State commit. Not really saying anything, bashing anything about Baylor Graves. I think Baylor Graves is a really talented quarterback. It's just, Jackson Furman is one of the best out there in the state. So this is going to be interesting how this game plays out. But Central's also playing against that Catholic defense that's one of the best in the entire state. So that matchup, seeing that offense against Catholic's defense, will be fun to watch, and it's going to be fun seeing Catholic's offensive line against Mays and this defensive front for Central. So a lot of interesting storylines here. We already know about Central's relationship and the coaches that were at Catholic and now they're at Central. Not only Semino, but the coordinators are also there at Catholic. So this means a little bit more to them when they play against each other. But Central really came close to being Catholic last year, and that is with that state championship team they had last year. So what I'm going to say, Grant, here, I'm going to go with Central for the upset. The reason why is because I think last year they were pretty equipped, to beat Catholic, and really a lot of people said that they outplayed Catholic. But Catholic was able to get the win, and with another year, and this is a big year, Grant, for Central because a lot of these guys are seniors. This is a big year. So if Central is going to do it, this is a perfect year to do it. So it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be a really great atmosphere. I'm planning on going and covering that game. But how much this means and how much Central is going to put into this game, knowing the relationships in the background here, I'm going to pick the Wildcats in an upset over the Catholic Hot Bears on Friday.
I have to agree with you there. Shit. The weather's changing. That's how you know the weather's changing. We're finally into fall.
Oh yeah.
But Central, I think, has the edge. Catholic. Remember, Turner Goldsmith was actually the quarterback last week, so they're still trying to figure out
Turner and Baylor and right.
And I think what I have to factor in against this team like Central. Central has I feel like they have the quarterback advantage. I do. I think they have the quarterback advantage. They may even have the coaching advantage as well. Hudson Fuller's done this for a very long. I know he's a young coach, but he still has a lot of experience. But I think with Semino, where he's led two different programs at the state championship, he's already rebuilt that culture at Central. They are rolling right now, and they have a lot of confidence going into this game. I know Coach Semino's going to have these guys ready to play. They know they lost against the team last year and really had a chance to beat them last year when Catholic was a better team. This is the year where they have to get that done because of course next year you lose them. Now they have a lot of players coming back. They have a lot of good young and talented players coming back next year. But this is the year this is the game that you have to show everybody, hey,
Hmm.
we're serious.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if you pick up a big win over Catholic, which I think they might in a close game, um, I think that this if you looking back at this game, this is the game where it's going to completely flip the Central team into becoming a dark horse candidate to make it the dome
Yep.
to almost a surefire dome
Yep.
candidate.
Yep. Yep, it is, and this coaching staff. They're going to say otherwise. Like, oh, we treat you every game like it's a different game. Like this central coaching staff is going to take that game a little bit more seriously than the other ones. They had this game circled and it's probably posted in the locker room. They're going to be all in for this game, and it's going to be an incredible game, man. Like it's going to feel like a playoff game. It really is. It's going to have that playoff game type of atmosphere. I know Zachary's still in the mix, and we can't count out David Brewerton
Yes,
and Broncos out,
yes.
but this is more like a de facto district championship game. So it's going to be a really fun game on Friday night down at Memorial Stadium.
Oh yeah, definitely, Jace. All right, Jace. The next game we're going to talk about is another game in your area, a game that's probably one of the biggest rivalries in the state. I know it's not maybe like a marquee matchup like some of the matchups that we have on here, but it is still a big time game in the area. There's hatred between both schools for a very long time.
Yeah,
For a very
yeah.
long time, you can definitely say that, and that's Saint Amand
Mhm.
traveling to East Ascension. There's a long time rivalry between these two programs. Both don't like each other. Jace could probably tell you a little bit more about it than I can because as he's a Baton Rouge area native. But Jace, kind of describe give a brief history about this rivalry and then also who you'd like to win.
Yeah, this is a Ascension Parish rivalry, Grant. That's really been going on for a long time, and it's been the game. When I just encourage anybody that has not been to East Ascension Sandmall, when let's say you're an outsider, right, and you're coming in from another state, Texas, Georgia, just an outsider and they want to say, "Hey, Jace, I'm coming in to Baton Rouge, all right, and we want to see just a great atmosphere, high school atmosphere, a great contest, a great rivalry. Where should we go and watch?" And that's what I recommend: East Ascension Sandmall. This rivalry's been going on for a long time. Like you said, there's not going to be exchanging of Christmas cards with this game. I mean, there's not a lot of love lost for this, but yeah, I mean, this has been a great run. Sometimes it doesn't matter when, Grant. That's the thing. It's kind of like Alabama, Auburn, or like where one team can be good, the other team not so good, or both teams good, both teams bad. Does not matter. Like one of their goals to show you how big this game is okay. One district championship, go to the playoffs, compete for a state championship. Oh, by the way, beat EA. Oh, beat
Yeah,
Sandlaw. Like that's
yeah,
how big this is. And there's been some great players from both sides that have gone through both those programs. And I got a chance to talk to Brock Mathern. He's going to be really new to this rivalry, right? First year as the Spartans head coach. Obviously, David Oliver knows a thing or two about this rivalry too. He's been coaching it for so many years, so that's going to be interesting in itself. But it's intense. I mean, both these two schools are rivals. They know each other. A lot of the players know each other. So it's bragging rights for a whole year. And that's what this is. So it's that big of a rivalry. It's actually one of the best rivalries because of the atmospheres, the student sections going against each other. Like it is really good. So if you have a chance to go check this game out, go and see it. No matter what, they can both be 1-9 or 0-10.
mhm.
And this would be an incredible atmosphere, week year in year out. So, in terms of this year's game, Grant, this is a big game for both teams. It is because Rob Mathern coming in for East Ascension, and both teams are having up and down years. East Ascension's coming in, I believe, 3-3, and or yeah, one of them's 3-3, and one of them's 3-4. So
Mhm.
it's around 500, a little bit below 500. That's where you're hovering around right now. So this district is going to be really crazy. everybody's beating each other up in this district anyway. As I think it's one of the more competitive districts out there. No matter what, 5A, 4A, doesn't matter. It's a great district. And San Mall, they're a team that's better than their record right now. You go
Yeah.
look at their record, and you say, "Oh, they're like 3-4." But you gotta consider some of the games that they should have won. JFK was one game that we were at and had a chance to really close that game out, and they didn't. And then
Mhm.
JFK, you gotta give credit to JFK. They made the plays at the end to win, but Sam Mall had a chance to win that game. Dutchtown, they had a big lead over Dutchtown, and look how good Dutchtown is. They're still undefeated. And Dutchtown came back and won that game too.
Mhm.
So they're able to pick up a big win, I believe, over Walker last week. So yeah, like this is a big game for both teams. Grant, I'm going to lean towards Salmo because
Mhm.
I like what I've seen from them this year. I think Cooper Babin's a really good quarterback. I mean, as far as like next year goes, that's a guy that everybody needs to look at too. Um, so yeah, I mean that's going to be a team to watch out for. I think this Sam All team's scary. Like this is going to be a team that's going to the playoffs. You're going to see maybe a 5-5 record or 6-4 record, and just not
Mhm.
think anything of it. But this is a dangerous team. They're well coached, and they just got to finish these games, and that's been kind of the problem. But this will be a really great game. I think Coach Mathern's really he's a good coach, good rising new head coach. That's going to be really good, and I think he's going to do a great job at East Ascension. I just think the experience in this rivalry, the experience, the coaching experience here is going to be key as well. So it's going to be a fun atmosphere, but I'm going to go with the Gators to get the win. So East Ascension
Yes.
fans, come at me if you if you need to, but I'm going to go with the Gators.
I think this game. I think is also kind of sort of a toss-up game as well. That district that East Ascension and Santa Monica are in. It's a very topsy turvy
Yes.
league. Just because Santa Monica came back and won against Walker last week. Walker's been very impressive this year. Um, East Ascension, they've won two straight now. They've won over like Live Oak and Prairieville.
Yeah.
And they also had a close competition with they played Brother Martin and they played Dennis Springs pretty tough. I mean
Yeah.
they almost beat this. They lost 20-17. But you know what, Jace? I actually might go with the Spartans here. I
Oh,
think
okay.
just because of the way this league has been playing, you just don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, Touchdown nearly lost against Santa Monica, right? Like
Yeah.
Touchdown had to come back to beat Santa Monica
Yeah.
actually.
It did. It did.
So just given what the chaos this league has brought, I'm gonna have to go with EA to win a big game at home against their arch rivals. I think they'll win this game in a close one. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Spartans here. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know, I'm just feeling the Spartans right now, given how they played recently, and also they probably should have won a game more or two. So I
Mhm.
know Brock Berthoud's gonna have these guys ready to play. So is Coach Oliver, who I respect a whole lot. Just given my relationship with him, since not only joining the business, but then also he's coaching my dad at Tulane. But I'm just gonna have to go with the Spartans here to win a big
Yeah.
game over their long time arch rivals.
Yeah. It's a rivalry game. You just kind of throw out the records out the window and see what happens because it's always crazy when you get these we throw in the rivalries to it. And you expect
Mhm.
the unexpected.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, the next game I want to talk about, or that we will talk about, is Ed White and Lutcher. Ed White's only lost one game so far, and that was a close 22-15 loss to Jesuit. And then Lutcher's undefeated. These are two of the top programs in the river parishes so far. Both have had a lot of success. Both have actually been to a state championship. Ed White lost against U High in 2021, while Lutcher most recently won in 2022 and a really good game over North Dakota. So Jace, I think you know it looks like it could be going towards Lutcher's way, given how they've been playing, and also it's at at their place at the kennel. But Edie White, they could pick up a big win, and whoever wins this game actually will be the front runner to win a
Yeah.
district title. Because this is the only tough game that Letcher has left in the district slate.
Yeah, this is pretty much the de facto district championship, like you just mentioned, Grant. Um, yeah, Edie White's been really good this year. They really have, and this is a program year in, year out that's always been really good in the regular season. Always been a great regular season team. They went to the Super State Championship a couple years ago against U High. Um, yeah, Coach Lassane does a great job with that program, and this year they've had some big wins. I mean, they were able to defeat Hanville this year, and
Mhm.
Hanville's had a really good season this year. Well, under Coach Boyne, who's done one of the best coaching jobs I feel like in the state this year,
Yep.
and they defeated Holy Cross. We talk about the Catholic League and and how tough that Catholic League is, and Holy Cross, even though they might not be at the top of that Catholic League, they played tough. Some of these top echelon teams like Edna Carr, pretty tough, and John Kerr's pretty tough. Um, so yeah, Edie White's really good, but I'm gonna go with Lutcher, because like you just mentioned, Grant, I like how Lutcher's playing right now. I think right now they may be my favorite. We talk about how wide open the state championship race is in that Division two non-select. I think Lutcher may be the favorite if I have to pick a team right now to win the state championship in that division. I probably want to lean towards Letcher right now. But they've been really strong defensively. You know that Rashad Fleming, the Houston commit, they're really good on that side of the football. Dwayne Jenkins, his son Zach's doing a really good job at the quarterback position. Really just running the offense, and he's made plays when he's need to. And Trent Cheney in the backfield. This is a balanced football team. Last year, I think they were really great defensively, and the offense has picked it up this year. So I like this Bulldogs football team. I think they're a state championship type of team we can see in the Superdome. And Edie White's really good too. This is going to be a really great football game and one of those tough games and go either way. I would not be surprised if Edie White wins this game, but give me the Bulldogs here to take that lead and win that district championship.
Oh yeah, definitely, Jace. And I'm gonna have to go the same way. I'm leaning towards the Bulldogs in this one, a really tight game. I think this game will be one of the better games of the weekend. And it's gonna live up to its hype. Edie White always tends to play. When you go against a team like Lutcher, a team that a lot of people think that Edie White is gonna lose to, like let's just say like a Holy Cross or a Honda or any of these top teams that we talk about out of the New Orleans area. Uh, Edie White always seems to play their best, although I do think they'll fall short to this Lutcher Bulldog team that is playing some fantastic football right now.
Mhm.
And if I remember correctly, I know they've had so far. I think they had another shutout last week. I mean, this Lutcher
Was
defense.
Was it South Terrebonne?
Yeah, I think they shut out. Actually, I think they did shut out, bro. I'm just double checking here.
Yeah, and they shut out Vanderbilt.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they've had three straight shutout victories.
Yeah,
48 to nothing over Assumption, 33 to nothing over Vanderbilt Catholic, who's a very good team,
with
and
Jalen
South
Palmer, the
Terrebonne
Liberty
44 to
commit.
nothing. Yeah,
Yep.
so yeah, exactly. And like they've only allowed 18 points all year, 12 points to Slidell in their first game of the year, and 6 points to Liberty in their 28-6 victory over 28-6 victory over Liberty. But Jace, they played 5 games so far. They've only allowed 3.6 points all year.
That's unbelievable. This
I mean,
defense
yeah.
is insane.
Rashad Sterling, Katie Parquette. I mean,
Yep.
up front. This defense is really good. And I think they're going to give Edie White some problems. I really do. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, their defense is that good. They were really good last year too. They were just as good. It's just the offense has taken a step forward, and they don't have to be like we talk about what the airlines defense being the the 85 Bears defense or anything. They don't like this offense doesn't have to be the 19 LSU offense. Just like control the clock, manage the game, don't turn the ball over because this defense is going to win you football games, and that's what they're doing right now. And the offense is making plays. Zach Jenkins is making plays. Trent Cheney's a talented running back in the backfield for him. So yeah, this is a dangerous Lutcher football team for sure. And they're going to be well coached by Dwayne Jenkins as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, Jace. Yeah, and the next game we're gonna talk about is Oak Grove at Mangum. Oak Grove you know the whole deal with Oak Grove,
Hmm.
the defending state champions. They are, I believe, 4-2, or they're 4-2 or 5-1 this year.
Yeah, I think they've lost one
Yeah,
game. I
yeah,
think.
I know they lost against Calvary. But yeah, oh yeah, they're 5-1, so they won
Yeah.
five straight. They've scored 49 points or more in all the victories. The only game where they didn't score 50 points was against Rayville in a 49-0 victory. But they've won 57-12 in back-to-back games the last 2 weeks. And they'll go against a Mangum team who's also lost one game. The Dragons have been playing some awesome football
Yeah.
as of late. And this game is, we talked about Ruston-Neville. This is another one that's going to be well talked about in Northeast Louisiana. So, Jace, who you got?
Yeah, if it wasn't for Ruston-Neville, man, they would have
Yeah,
the spotlight. But yeah, it's like what we talked about with LSU, right? I'm compare this a little bit to LSU. When they lose to USC, you've had a couple of games like, okay, like you're gonna win, and it probably wasn't until that Ole Miss game that you'll say, okay, how good we are again. Well, this is kind of a similar situation for Oak Grove, right? Huge game to start the season. You play Calvary Baptist. It was a shootout, which we expected with both those quarterbacks, with both those offenses, and you come on the short end of that stick. But you were able to play a couple more teams and teams that you're able to beat and handle, which they did. And now this is the toughest opponent they have since Calvary Baptist. When we talk about Mangum's coming off a big win last week against Faraday. Faraday was an undefeated team going into that game, and Mangum was able to get the win. Mangum's always been really good, man. They've always had good running backs. They've always had a big offensive line. They've always been a physical football team. Scott Wilcher does a great job with that program too. And Oak Grove, we all know about Oak Grove, right? I mean, what Ryan Gregory has done year in, year out, leading this team to state championships and competing for state championships. Jackson Browley is back. And it's crazy, Grant, but we haven't really talked much about Jackson Browley this year, and he's still putting up these type of numbers. I mean, he's still
yeah,
Louisiana Tech commit and still one of the best quarterbacks in the entire state of Louisiana. Like you said, I mean, every game this year they have scored at least 41 points, so they've been really great offensively. Um, I'm gonna get Oak Grove to win this football game, and it's gonna be a fun one. I mean, it's gonna be a good stretch for them because they got Mangum, Faraday, and they got Washita Christian at the end of the year. So this is a big stretch for the Tigers. It's gonna be a really good football game for both teams. But give me the Tigers because I don't think Mangum can really. Obviously, they can't get in a shootout with these guys.
yeah, I expected a shootout as well. I mean, Mangum's coming off of a huge win over a previously undefeated Faraday team, 35-6. But I'm gonna have to pick the Oak Grove. Oak Grove, of course, is one of the top programs in the state, pound for pound. Given what they have accomplished in recent times, I mean, they've won 8 state championships, and 4 of them have come in the last 7 years or whatever. I'm not sure the exact times frame, but they've won a lot of state championships.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to pick the Tigers to win this game, probably in a close one. I don't see this being a blowout, but
Yeah,
it's Oak Grove, and a lot of times we think they're gonna win a close, they're gonna probably pull it off in a close game. In actuality, they actually just blew the other team out. But I think Oak Grove will win this game against
mhm,
Mangum. Um, I think in a relatively close one.
yep,
But the next game we're gonna have to talk about is Riverside at West St. John.
yeah,
Riverside, of course, huge victory over St. Martin's. DJ Glassick on the show, rushing for 540 yards, scoring 8 times on the ground, and then he scored and then he's also got a receiving touchdown for 9 total touchdowns. They are very physical. They're very strong. They're a 1A program, but they're actually a lot bigger than I thought they would be. Dietrich is really the only small guy they have on their team. I mean, to
right,
be honest with you,
right, right.
everybody else is they're pretty good sized kids, despite being a 1A school. But that's what happens when you play. But they're from the Bayou, so that's what we expect.
Right.
They will also play another good team from the Bayou, and that's West St.
Mm,
John. West St. John has been one of the top stories.
yeah.
Uh, has been one of the top stories in this area. Um, you know, I mean, they're 5-1. They're led by their head coach and Darren Thomas. Darren Thomas done an excellent job in
Yes.
rebuilding this team, a team that has had a lot of success. 4 state championships.
Yep.
Most recent being in 2017. And a lot of credit. If you had to do a coach of the year in the River Parishes, it would have to be Darren Thomas. He's done a
Yeah.
fantastic job, and they've won, of course. And as I mentioned, they are 5-1.
Mhm.
4-1 because they didn't play their game against St. James because of the
Right.
because of the hurricane. But
Yeah.
they've won 4 straight. So, Jace, do you think that Wesley John will have their statement win in this season? In this season, where they've completely turned things around against a very talented Riverside team that is the defending state runner-up.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a little bit of a letdown spot here for Riverside because I mean, think about the stretch they've been. They played Vermilion Catholic, and then that was a big football game, and they turn around and they play Harlem Berry. They play against St. Martin's, and you're going to be pumped playing against the number one running back in the country and in that St. Martin's football team. And Dedrick Lassie, everybody's talking about you now with the 9 touchdowns and him going off and being a storyline. Now you play West St. John, so might be a little bit of a letdown. And I know, uh, really, Coach Russell, he's probably telling his guys, "Hey, we got another game. Let's move on. Let's focus on West St. John." Because, like you said, when I first started really getting into this business, Grant, West St. John was a program. They were winning state championships. Brandon Walters was the head football coach, and he was doing a good job with his team. And this is a team that's had a couple down years over the last couple years, and that's not what you expect. And that down there in Edgar, Louisiana, down in West St. John, and great turnaround. I mean, Darren Thomas, West St. John, they were at our media day too, and you got a chance to talk to him before the season, and he was just talking about praising. He was praising the guys and their buy-in to the program, and they have like a 5 foundation thing. He talked about our media day: trust, faith, commitment, discipline, and sacrifice. So those are the 5 things that he preaches to his guys. It's one thing to just be talented, but you gotta show it and show the other stuff too, and that's what he wants to show. But they got some big wins. Donaldsonville this year, they were able to get that win. Able to beat East Riverville by 20 points. But West St. John's had a great year. Darren Thomas should be mentioned in the coach of the year. But even though this is kind of a letdown spot for Riverside, this team is just that good. I mean, Dedrick Lassie, Brock Bourgeois, these receivers they have, Nehemiah Phillip, and then the ninth grader as well. His name escapes me.
Cameron Johnson.
Yeah,
Cameron Johnson.
Buggy Johnson, right? Kennard Johnson. So yeah, this is a really explosive team. It's This team can win a state championship, and I think that they even at a letdown spot, I still got the Rebels here.
Yeah, and I think this is could be. I think this would be a pretty close game. I mean, not only is it because of the two really good teams, but this is a kind of a letdown. I think this could possibly be a letdown game similar to what happened with Ruston and Washington. I mean, after a
Yeah,
huge
yeah.
victory over a team,
Mhm.
you've had some battles with the last couple of years. Of course, with Harlem Berry and St. Martin's, they won big, 71-37. But this is a perfect game. This is the perfect trap game for a
Yeah, it is.
Riverside team. This is very talented. But I'm gonna have to go with the Riverside Rebels here, to pick up a victory on the road. This game is always remember this game is also on the road, so it's at West St. John. So
Mhm.
that place is gonna be rocking. So, but I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
pick the Rebels here to win.
That's probably
The
one of
next,
the biggest games in a long time, Grant. It really is.
yeah,
That program's been, and when West St. John is good, Louisiana high school football is good. So it's
yeah,
great that they're getting back to that.
yeah. Give me. All right, Jace. We just got done talking about what's West St. John and West St. John and Riverside.
Mhm.
Now we move on to Brother Martin at John Curtis. I mean, John Curtis.
Yeah.
They're 3-2. They've struggled a bit offensively. Their defense has been awesome. So they played some fantastic defense throughout the year. Um, and they haven't allowed 30 points. They have not. I think the most they've allowed this year has been 27. But the offense is still trying to find its way after losing a lot of players from last year, and it's still showing in week 7 of the season. The most they've allowed is 27, but after
Mhm.
that they've only allowed 7 points in a 27-7 victory over North Shore, 14 points in a 14-7 loss over Rummel. They won. They beat Warren Easton 26-7, so they only allowed 7 points in that game, and then they shut out Holy Cross 30-0. So, and this is a fantastic defense they have with John Curtis. However, they'll be going up against a high-powered Brother Martin
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah.
I know they have been struggling as of late, but their pass attack is electric, and Easton Royal is shown to be one of the top sophomore receivers
Yeah.
in the state. And he's already picked up an Ole Miss offer, and he will probably pick up a few more down the stretch. But Jace, I mean, do you think the Brother Martin and Brother Martin pass attack with Seth Z and Easton Royal will be a little bit too much for this Curtis team that's been playing some phenomenal defense?
Yeah, it's like conflicting of styles. Like, what style is going to work? Is that classic matchup, right? Offense and defense. Eastern World, like you mentioned, and the car as good as they are. You can ask in the car how good Eastern Royal is because he scored a touchdown against them.
Mhm.
As well, that was one of the two touchdowns that they've
Yep.
scored. He is a special player. Keep eye out for him in 27 class. But what you like you mentioned, what Brother Martin team is going to show up? Is it going to be the team that defeated St. Paul's in the last second that looked really good offensively? The team that beat Rummel and upset Rummel, or is this a team that lost to Jesuit 17-5? So, like, what team is this Brother Martin team when they play John Curtis? And John Curtis, right? Like you mentioned, they've been just stout defensively. They've been really great on that side of the football. Offense has been some struggles there, up to date on that side of the football. But because if John Kerr's defense has struggles with Brother Martin, then Brother Martin's going to win this football game. But if John Curtis does their thing on the defense side of the football and just gets enough from their offense, John Curtis can win this football game. Here, this is a really good audition, Grant. The conversation we've had: who is the second best team in the Catholic League? When we talk about the Catholic League, this is a great measuring stick to see who that could be. I mean, because that's still in discussion, and I think John Curtis and Brother Martin are still in play to be in that second team. So this is a great audition for that. But I just can't go against the goat. JT Curtis. It's hard. It's hard to go against that man in those 28 state championships. So give me John Curtis. I mean, I think their defense is that good, and I think this is going to be a growing game for their offense. I think their offense will take the steps in the right direction. They'll do just enough, and I think they'll be able to hold Brother Martin's explosive offense just enough to get a win. But this game can go either way. But I'm on just leaning with the goat. Give me John Curtis.
Yeah, Jace. I mean, and I think that's a fair assessment. I'll say this: Brother Coach Bonice has had a lot of success over
He has
JT.
too.
Means
Yep.
I mean, so like I mean, yes, you can't. It's hard to pick against the goat, but it's also very hard to pick against Coach Bonice.
Yeah.
Um, I believe, and looking at the schedule, he's beaten brother. He has beaten um yeah, so he's beaten JT about 4 or 5 times now. I mean, he
Yeah.
has a losing record to JT, of course. I mean, because it's
Right.
JT.
Right.
But the only other, but he has the most wins all time against JT. The next guy who has the most wins over JT would be Nick Monica
Yeah.
Rummel. Right? He
Yeah.
of course he has a winning record over JT. It's a 3
Right.
2 record over
Right.
JT. So he's has a lot of success over JT. Nick Monica. But Coach Bonice, I think have these guys ready to play. They lost big over. They lost big to Endicott, 42-14. And usually after losses like those, that's when Brother Martin tends to play their best.
Yeah. That's a
Um,
good point. That's a good point.
but yeah, but I think this game would be a lot close.
Yep.
But I do think that the way Curtis has been playing on the defensive side of the ball, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Patriots for this one.
Mhm.
The next game I want to talk about is Calvary at Union Parish. Calvary, of course, is a 4-2. The two losses were to Neville and a red hot Franklin Parish team.
Yeah.
So they lost to two of the best teams in the state. It's really I don't remember the last time Cowboys really had 2 losses in the season. Well, I think they did have them in 2022, but they have 2 losses this early on in any of the season. I don't remember the last time they've had that. But they'll be going because the Union Parish team that has won now 3 straight games. Union Parish plays some good football. That's what I expected them to do. Union Parish always plays a very tough schedule at the beginning of the year. And that helps them out with the playoffs and everything. And that's why they play those games. Because if you win them, great. If you don't, well, we saw a good bit to learn, but at least we know where we stand.
Yep.
And they've won 3 straight over Green Oaks, Homer, and North Cato. And they'll have and they will host Calvary Baptist. But Jace, do you think Union Parish will pull off the upset, and hopefully this will propel them to a district title?
Well, if there's a team that wants to win ugly and just smash mouth and win it in a brawl, Union Parish is that perfect team to do it. And like they're going to try to do that with Calvary Baptist because they know they can't play a shootout against Calvary Baptist. They know that. So what they're going to try to do is like, hey, let's play our brand of football. Let's bully them. Let's control the clock. Let's run it down their throats. Let's keep Calvary offenses off the field. That's what they're going to try to do. And they're not going to be scared, intimidated by Calvary Baptist. That's for sure. They already played Ash Airline. I mean North DeSoto, so they're not going to be intimidated. That's for sure. But
Mhm.
this Calvary Baptist team, we talked about it all off season. Like, is this team better than last year's Calvary Baptist team? And as good as they won, I mean, they won state championship last year.
Mhm.
But with some of the guys that they added, like you know, you're a little shocked, even though they did lose to Neville. I mean, Franklin Parish was a little bit of a surprise, even though as good as they're playing. Like they didn't expect 2 losses at the beginning of the season, with how good and how loaded this roster is. But with that being said, I think Calvary's going to really show it how good they are, the pieces that they have in this one. Ewan Parrish is playing much better football, but that also helps with the teams that they played recently too to help. But I'm gonna go with Calvary Baptist here because I think I'm expecting them to really show their team and how good they can be, and obviously the offense that they have, they can score at will when they want to. When they're at their best, there's not a lot of people that can keep up with them, right? So give me the Cavaliers to get the win. Ewan Parrish that has playing much better football, but this is a fun game. 2 defending state champions going at it, and it's going to be a really underrated game matchup. I'm glad that you're pointing it out too. I don't know why I consider 2 defending state champions going against each other underrated game, but that just comes to show you this year in Louisiana. But give me Calvary Baptist to come out on top.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick Calvary Baptist in this one as well. Union Parish. In the 3 losses, they played 3 high-powered offenses. Of course, that's North DeSoto, Alexandria Airline,
Mhm.
and they not only could they not keep them off the scoreboard, but they also couldn't really score points there as
Yeah,
well. I'm wondering, if they could score some points, especially against this Calvary Baptist team that will score points at will.
yeah, they will score.
Yeah, I think that'll be the difference makers. Can Union Parish make enough, kind of like LSU, like
Yeah.
against Ole Miss? Can you make enough stops and score, and then also enough stops on defense, and then also score enough points on offense for you to win the game? And that's what they need to do against this Calvary Baptist team. But it's the Cavaliers all day for me in this one. And the
Yeah.
last game we're gonna talk about, Jace, is a game that it's a kind of rare. You don't really see these types of games this late in the season. Usually, you may see this game at the beginning,
Mhm.
but Captain Shreve will be traveling to
Yeah.
Destrehan in this Week 7 matchup. Captain Shreve's coming off a huge 77-76 barn burner, where absolutely zero defense was played.
Nope.
That's kind of been the joke so far about Shreve for this show, is that they just don't play any defense. In the last game, there was a lot of jokes to be made, considering the fact that Jamasi Platter rushed for 350 yards, and then of course that was the headliner was Pop Houston throw for 814 yards,
Yeah.
and rushing for another 100, and then having I believe 7 or 8 total touchdowns. But Jace, they'll be traveling to Destrehan. Destrehan struggled a little bit. Don't know the status of Jackson Fields is.
Yeah.
I know he's going to be out for a good bit. They're starting a freshman right now, quarterback, but they're still a talented team. Destrehan, in my opinion, in terms of talent, they're still one of the top teams in the state, but because of injuries, and Jace Thomas is also out as well.
Yeah,
I
that's
know
big.
that for a fact. That's a huge loss for them. The
Big.
3-3, and with the injuries that they've had, do you still think that they could pull off a huge victory over Captain Shreve?
Yeah, like you said, this is not a game you expect at this point in the season because you're entering at this point district play and playing the teams in your area. But yeah, this is very interesting in the timing of this with Captain Shreve going down and playing Destrehan, and yeah, Captain Shreve's having a really good season, even though like to show you how really underrated they are. Like you mentioned, they won the game and nobody's talking about it. You know,
Yeah.
that just shows you how underrated they've really been. But yeah, like I think with this game, Captain Tree, like you have to like if you're not motivated, I don't know why you should play football. But
Yeah.
Captain Shreve's defense has to be motivated this week to like show
Yeah.
like, hey, like we need. I mean, like after giving up 76 points and 10 touchdowns, like we gotta show what we can be, and
Mhm.
I think that's what they can do against Destrehan. Like we said, don't know the extent of Jackson Field's injury, and that's definitely hindered Destrehan this season because of that, because of injuries this year. But going, I mean, it's a drive. I mean, it is a road trip going to Destrehan. It's not easy going
Mhm.
over there and getting a win over Destrehan. But I like Captain Shreve. Their offense is doing a really good job. They got a really good quarterback. I think his name's Brody, I believe. I forgot his last
Brody
name.
Savage.
Brody Savage, yeah, Brody Savage, and Jamar Plyer, their running back. He's like I said, you just randomly close your eyes, you point out a running back in the state of Louisiana, you're gonna find a good one, and he is a good one. That just seems like it is this year. But I think like Cabin Trees won't score points, but I think in a similar way like Airline, I think the defense is going to show up for Captain Tree if you have to. Like it's a pride thing, after giving up 76 points, and they're going to get chewed out. It's going to be a rough week for this Captain Tree defense in terms of defensive coaching meetings, film review. It's going to be a rough week. But I think they're going to take it out on the football field against a really good Destrehan team. I like how Captain Tree is playing on the offensive side. So with that being said, the only thing I don't really like about this is the long road trip, but I'm going to go with the Gators here.
Yeah, same here. Just because of the injuries that Destrehan has
Yeah. Yep.
received. Obviously, I'm not sure what the status of Jackson Fields is for this game. And also Jace Thomas may be out, and I know he had to deal with injuries as well. So you lost your quarterback and one of your leaders on the defense.
Yeah.
Just gonna have to pick the Gators right now.
Now, I believe Jace Thomas was taking some snaps at quarterback too, so you really pretty much lose two guys that can take snaps at quarterback.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot going on in Destrehan right now, and it's not that they've been playing bad. They just have been dealing with stuff that's out of their control. And I think Captain Shreve will go down and just try to pick up a huge win. Although I can see Destrehan play some spirited football because it's still a well-coached team. They still have talent on that team.
Yeah.
But they're just dealing with stuff that's out of their control, like a lot of teams around the state, right? So the only thing you can do is play football.
Yep, absolutely.
That's it. But anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today's show. You saw me moving around, the light falling down just now. I got to go travel to Baton Rouge. Me and Jace are actually gonna go to the Brian Kelly's press conference, of course, after the huge win over Ole Miss, and so I got to make the drive out there. So that's but that's why I see all this panic going around just right now. But but once again, it's a huge week in high school football. I know there's not as many marquee matchups as there have been the past few weeks. It doesn't mean that some of those games that we don't think are marquee matchups end up being marquee matchups because of shocking. Because there's always some shocking results. Each and every week.
District games. You listed some really big district games that could decide district championships this week.
Yes.
So I think it's a pretty good week in high school football.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there may not be marquee matchups, but the district matchups, and you don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, this is Grant Sastre, owner of Ruger Sports Media and a reporter for Ruston Sports, joined here by Jace Lejeune, beat writer for Gridiron Football. We'll see you guys on Friday for our nightcap show for Week 7. Have a good one.